My friends, good day. France is under digital siege. Today we learned that the CAF has been hacked and the year isn't even over yet, as Microsoft said, an era. How far would you go tomorrow? So the problem today is that we have the CAF, millions of records leaked, a 15 gigabyte file that's being shared on the dark web. And apparently, I'm telling you this in quotes, but these kinds of stories, are always in quotes. It seems we potentially have another hack, Assistance Publique, Hôpitaux de Paris, which stands for the Public Assistance of Paris Hospitals, with more files that apparently are out there, some for a while now, but others potentially due to recent hacks. So I'm going to tell you a couple of things about that. Actually, if you look since the attack at the Louvre, France has been constantly subjected almost every week to several large-scale hacks. What has happened since the attack at the Louvre? Something has collapsed. If you look at movies like the film that's inspired by a novel by Dan Brown, Da Vinci Code, I saw it long ago and don't recall the details, but I do remember movies like Mission Impossible. What happens when someone goes to rob a museum in movies? Imagine Tom Cruise trying to steal the crown jewels. How would he do it? He's dropped off at night by a silent black helicopter with a special turbine. He goes down on the end of a cable. He's got electronic gadgets. What do you want? You see him there, and then he arrives somewhere. He floats just above the ground, about 10 centimeters off the floor, like some kind of spider coming down from the ceiling. He sees lasers. He sees very sophisticated alarms coming from another world. And then at some point he sneezes. There are a bunch of guys with machine guns who pop out from everywhere and they start shooting. That was the vision before the attack on the Louvre. In reality, the Louvre was attacked by a world charge. People arrived in a world charge. They came to the window, got in, stole some jewels that we're still looking for to this day, and disappeared. We learned later that, for example, the password for the computer systems. For the Louvre, of course, as you can imagine, it was Louvre, right? So basically what happened is that on a global scale, the hackers realized that France is still stuck in 1994 when it comes to security, which means they've multiplied the attacks. And actually, there's a copycat effect. It means each time a group launches an attack, they return with the electronic loot saying we have 10 million files, 16 million people, 15 or 20 gigabytes, so and so. Well, imagine that the next day, there's another group that says, we're going to try it too. So you have to be careful in the coming days. Anything that's an official website, ministry website, airline, water or electricity company website, airport or hospital website, you see what I mean, right? Any public website will be tested, will be attacked, because people have realized that, well, you can get in as easily as walking into a mill and there are no limits. We also have something else that's extremely serious when you look at it. Look at this story. We have files from different attacks that are being distributed for free on the dark web, and these files contain personal information. Let me tell you something. A few years ago, a friend of mine was working at a company and his company got hacked. I myself found a photocopy of his passport, his payslips, his human resources file on the dark web, and I gave them to him. Just so you know, it's information at that level that's taken, not just an Excel file. So what happens is that today, by cross-referencing data, we can do this. We can take a French person. We can know the troubles he's had with the law. We can know his social benefits. We can know his health status, the x-rays he's had, the dental work he's had done. We can practically know if he's a member of the Shooting Sports Federation. As we've seen recently, we can also know his attendance, his membership number. By cross-referencing with other files, we can find out if he owns a weapon, his address, and, using tax records, his income. In fact, literally, we're reading the French like an open book. It would only take the pirates having the bad idea tomorrow to mix all this data into a single database. And literally, they'll have the French population at their fingertips. Once again, it's the sheer incompetence of the state which keeps demanding more and more information, while obviously it's unable to secure them, unable to keep them safe. A state like that should really go back to the days of index cards. Back to the good old paper register. In the prefecture upstairs with some guys, you go there, they look in the file, they take it out and all that. They can't do more than that. Adding bars and big padlocks is something that's happening. So there you go, my friends. Personally, what can you do? Unfortunately, not much once your state collects or extracts information from you by force. It's not easy to change. It's not easy to fight against that. Even if someone sees your password, like if you have it, I don't know myself. For example, there was a time when there was a big attack on LinkedIn, etc. They said to change your passwords. You visit a shopping site and 6 months later, you get the usual email. Yes, we're sorry, there was limited access. They always say limited. It's okay, we'll look into our database. Change your password. Okay, fine, you change your password, whatever, that's all right. But as for all the data I had the honor to mention today in this video, which is out there, who's going to change anything? Maybe one day they'll even have your biometric data. From there, they can clone you administratively, they can clone you legally. You see, so if you want, I'll tell you something. When you look at it, it's very simple. Europe killed innovation, it drove away its innovators, but France, I mean, it's leading in that. When you look at the biggest clouds, just to name a couple off the top of my head, the 3 biggest clouds in the world, or the 4 really big clouds. We have Amazon Web Services made by Amazon, which is an American company. We have Google Cloud Platform, Google Cloud, made by who? By an American company, Google. We have Azure, the Azure Cloud made by Microsoft, also an American company. We have Alibaba Cloud made by the Chinese. I could list more up to the 10th. We only have American or Chinese clouds. The French, if they show up, they'll appear way down the list. That means France is a country that has stopped investing, has stopped developing. So honestly, at this point, maybe it's better to just give up and ask the Americans for help. Maybe it's better to give the French information to the Americans like that. Well, I prefer to be with a state like the United States rather than on the dark web. You see what I mean? You have to choose. At that point, it's no longer in between. You must make some tough decisions. If we must give them to the Americans, we have to. What do we need to sign with Amazon, Azure, and others? They're pros. That's what they do. And then we just have to settle for, I don't know, selling camembert and red wine. It's complete destruction. Actually realize that there are French people. There are French people who are leading tech startups that are worth a lot, but who live abroad. If they had lived in France, they would have been destroyed. In fact, France is exporting these Mozarts, and what it can't export, it kills in the cradle, and what does it end up with? It results in a sprawling, very expensive state, which is not only putting the country into debt, but also taxing people to death. And then it can't even fulfill its basic sovereign roles. It's all about demanding data, demanding files. They can't even keep things like that safe anymore. And if you look at these hacks, I assure you, they're not hacks worthy of science fiction. I don't know how they did it, but we're definitely dealing with classic MSQL injection. We're talking about the good old password, like Paris or like Macron or something like that. You see, that's really what we're dealing with. We're not talking about hacking where you say, well, those guys did everything. But honestly, at this level, there's nothing you can do. We're really talking about hacks, the kind of hacking that even in 2005 didn't work with serious institutions. It's been 20 years and it still works in France. So what's the problem? So there you go, my friends. That's how it is. What can you do? That's just the way it is. We weren't lucky. It's like the British, like all Europeans today, like the Germans. Well, there you go. We're stuck with incompetents who have all the power over us. And then they decide, they're the ones who decide, and we just submit and watch and count the costs. Thank you for watching this video. I would have liked to end with something positive. I'm really racking my brain here to find something positive. Well, there you go. That's the positive thing. I'll see you in the next video. Just subscribe to this channel, and in the next video, I'll find something positive. I promise. See you very soon.